was wondering
He's
about
in the
you.
truck.
Recording.
All right.
in
Nobody
progress.
cuss because
Okay.
I got the recording going.
Now we're recording.
Got it.
So
Yes, now we're recording. So
Is
I didn't
that
want to
a-
record
haven't
too
got
early.
Charlie's video.
do I have to stop eating?
I'm not.
No,
Oh, okay.
never.
Go for it.
I got nachos. I'm good.
Those are
Sorry.
Yeah,
spicy.
at least Tammy's not eating tonight. At least we can see her.
Nope,
Last
not
time we
eating.
couldn't see her.
Already ate tonight.
Let's see.
Everybody, Denise sends her regards. She's traveling, so she will not be with us.
Oh, okay.
Aw.
Well, she told me she was going to be.
Yeah, she was. She got a last minute trip to DC.
Oh, really?
Oh, that figures.
Good.
Yeah, and then after that, she's going to Chicago to see her kids. So she'll see us after the first of the year, and she wished everyone a happy holiday.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Tell her safe travels.
Yeah, if you're in touch with her, give her our best and
I'll do
there's
that.
Charlie. He's on his phone now.
happy holidays.
Charlie?
So Jack, how do you like your camper?
I love it. It's very comfortable. I wouldn't recommend it for a family. You know,
Little
but
small.
there's a big bed up here, so you could, get a nice partner up there with you to keep you warm, or maybe even a grandkid or two. But and one of them could sleep in the dinette area. But I tried to sleep here myself, and I can lie down here, but my feet are touching the end, and it's like, it doesn't feel comfortable. So,
Right.
but I got storage on the other side, and it's great. It goes up and down real nice. Got a fan, got an escape hatch, windows everywhere. I'm
Nice.
loving it.
Good for you.
That sounds nice. Hey, Charles.
Nick, how's it going?
Good. Yourself?
Good. Good to see you.
Trying to figure out why Zoom won't work on the two laptops, but it works on the phone. So
Okay.
Well, you may have to download have you downloaded the latest version of Zoom on your laptop?
yeah, I did a Zoom meeting like yesterday with one of the drug companies. So I don't know. I'm sure it did some update last night or something I don't know about, and I have to figure it out now.
Well,
Undocumented feature.
Yes, exactly.
well, this ought to be quick tonight because we did less than 45 minutes last night.
Yeah.
Mm. Quick scoring. Scoring is always
Judges.
faster than commenting.
Wrong button. Like that.
All right. You guys want to start or you want to wait? No, we're just about everybody's here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, we get our usual 10 and a couple extras.
About 10 for each category except for creative.
Now there was only 7 for each category except for creative.
Really? That's down a bit, isn't it? From last
Or maybe
time?
there might have been 8. I don't remember, but it was quick. I know that.
Hmm.
Except for the
Very
one where
good.
we had 14 ties and in and out. So I don't even remember which one it was. All right, let's get this show on the road. Oh, share
We'll just
screen.
say that 21 was a very popular score.
Yeah, it was.
It's better than 20.
No matter, it was kind of strange because we were all going to different extremes trying to get this thing to clear past 21. And every
Yes.
time we went to a different extreme, it always came back to 21, like
Yeah.
3 freaking times in a row.
So you can't cancel each other out. Huh?
It's better than 23.
Yeah.
25.
27. I would have liked it. Anyway. Let's see. Let me see if I got this here. All right, we got to move stuff around.
Hey, while you're doing that, can I make a quick announcement?
Sure.
No,
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. On Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the Pearl, there's going to be an event called it's the 10th annual Tweed Bicycle Ride. All these guys kind of dress in like time period clothing. when Tweed was around, I don't know, what, 20s or something. And they just cycle. It's a charitable event and they're raising toys for children for Christmas. But
Mhm.
it is cool photo ops. Some of these guys go all out and some of their bicycles are period correct. And it's pretty cool. I've done it a couple of times. So if I have the time, I will be out there taking photos. And I tend to like, after they gather, they start the ride as a group. I'll take off, I'll get to my vehicle, take off, and I don't know the route, but you try and find them. And, they have a slow cruise around town. So like I said, it just makes for pretty cool photo ops.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Do you
so-
have any of those real big wheeled ones? No,
Yeah.
the big front wheels and little.
Do you remember about a year and a half ago? Yeah, a year and a half ago, he was in the news. He was a cyclist that got killed. His name was Tito Bradshaw, I think. There's been a lot of information about him, but he had a big wheel along with one other guy. So I don't know if anybody will be on a big wheel, but they did have them in the past.
I
That's
might
it.
see if I can. I might see if I can try to get out there. I don't know what's going on this weekend, but we'll see.
Cool. All right.
All right, we're ready.
Yes.
Ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
The 101, Port Aransas Sunset.
What's the order, guys?
You want us to start, John, and then I'll go, and then Robert?
Okay.
Sure. Okay, I'll take this one. Okay. I really like this picture. It's got a nice foreground, middle ground, sunset. I love the orange sky. It's down in Port A. You either get some really cool clouds or you get orange sky. And I really liked how the sun is broken up with the clouds. Kind of gives it a little thing. You got the reflection in the water. Goes all the way across to the other side and the reflection over there. The sun's in the third quadrant. Seems to be fairly sharp all the way through. And then there's actually I didn't never notice it before. There's actually a bird in there, like some sort of blue heron or maybe an egret right here.
Yep.
So very nice picture. Who's the maker?
Steve Manchester, score of 18.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Central Park Saxman.
Well, this is a terrific picture. I mean, it's just focused right in on the guy, caught him at a really nice moment. He's got, you can just almost hear the music. It's well exposed, well composed. Again, the vignette might be a little heavy for my taste, a little noticeable. I mean, I might feather it a little bit. It's to me a little distracting, but certainly the photograph is, I mean, it's perfect. I've got nothing negative to say about it. Who's the maker?
Trish Stone, score of 21, second place.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Night Barge.
Okay. I don't know what kind of effect it is, but the detail on this barge, or no, it looks like a shrimping boat to me. I love taking photos of shrimp boats out at the coast with the reflections. The blue is quite amazing. I don't know if it's overly done. I would have liked a little bit more negative space to where the boat is facing, not necessarily centered, but I don't know if they had that opportunity. Okay. I see, I don't know if you guys see this, but I feel like there's a rough texture on up in the blue cloud, the blue sky. I don't know if that's me or what, but technically it's handled very well, along with the reflection and everything. Very nicely done. Who is the maker?
John Kane, score of 18.
It's called very high ISO.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And the
Very
reason it's
cool.
called night barge is because the bright light is the barge.
Oh,
Oh,
The light that goes all the way through that is the barge, and it's in the waterway right behind all the shrimp boats.
okay, got it. I got it.
Okay.
so where is this, John?
It's down in, I want to say Fulton, but I'm not sure. It's the next little
Oh,
town up from Fulton.
Rockport.
Very nice. I like it.
Rockport, maybe.
Yeah.
So what is that
Rockport,
texture?
Fulton.
What is that texture in the sky, John? It does, I.
Noise.
I,
noise.
ISO.
Just noise?
High ISO, it's noise.
Okay, that's fine.
I lightened it up to try to get the blue to show up. I mean, basically it's a black sky,
Yeah.
but the
Gotcha.
light is blue. So I lightened the sky to try to make the sky stand out and bring out some of the stars. You can actually see some of the stars in there, but not
Yes.
many.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
very high. It was, I don't know, it's probably like 10,000 ISO.
And that would partly be my comment. I might have lowered the exposure, maybe a stop and a half to darken it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it might be just a little too bright.
Could be.
Cool shot though, cool shot.
But and I think the blue would still stand out. So, but
Yeah.
very well
Yeah.
done, John.
Thanks. This back to me.
Jersey shoreline.
Robert, you have to take that.
All right, one of my favorites of the night. I really dig this. I'm assuming it's like a little bit wider perspective, you know. I love the way the composition just almost cuts if your eye runs through it. It kind of cuts diagonally. I love the detail of this. I'm assuming it's seaweed or whatever this stuff is on the foreground. The texture on the fencing, and then you have a little interest in the big wheel in the background, and the clouds just make this image pop. I love the way it's subdued with these subtle colors, you know. I'm a big fan of this process. I'm not very good at it, but it's handled extremely well. Maker,
Peter Florsack scored 21, rescored 21, first place.
Very nice.
very nice, very nice.
Very
Bravo.
nice.
What part of New Jersey is this in, Peter?
It's right outside of Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the entrance with the texture of the fencing, the sand, the way it's kind of like just depleted there at the foreground, and then you have this seaweed and it. I love this, man. It's great.
You know, and I probably took a dozen pictures of this fence. I mean, it's just really interesting falling down, and
Yeah.
you know, for me, it just kind of made the picture.
Yeah.
And
Is that the Jersey boardwalk in the background?
Yes.
yeah, I like the erosion of the sand right here on the lower quadrant here. Yeah, it just holds a lot of interest.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Uh-oh.
Hello.
So I'll take this one.
This is called charge.
Charge. Yeah.
Charge.
Yeah. I mean, you know, just what a fun thing to do with the camera, to set up these guys and, you know, blur the background and focus in on this guy in the front. It's just, you know, I can just picture the photographer just having a whole bunch of fun doing this, you know. It's well lit, it's nice and sharp, it has great depth. I might have chopped a little bit off the top and the bottom and made it more of a square format, but that's really my only negative comment. It's a nice job. Who's the maker?
Myself, score of 18.
Nice.
Oh,
Looks really fun.
It's it's miniature gaming from the Millennium Con.
Yeah.
Oh,
How many of little figurines do you have of these?
I don't have any like this, but there's people at that con that have tons of stuff.
Okay. I was like, it would be cool if this guy was facing us and you had a few more behind him, like in a charge.
Right.
It's cool. Love it. I get all crazy when I see toys. Man.
Yeah,
I can see
they, they were actually playing their games, so I was just taking pictures of them playing their games, and this is one of them.
Cool.
Maybe it was a chess piece, because I collect chess sets and I have some
Could be.
similar to this, but not totally like this. But
Yeah, these are.
that's why I thought
role-playing.
maybe it might be a chess set.
Yeah, I don't remember which game it was. There's tons. It's the 3-day convention of
Yeah.
games.
Man, these guys are like fanatics with these role-playing games and the way they paint these suckers by hand. The
Yes.
detail is amazing.
Yeah. My brother-in-law in Illinois, that's what he does.
I don't have the patience.
He makes all this stuff. He makes all of his own stuff. So that's very
Wow.
cool.
Ah,
Doesn't work. Okay.
244 miles per hour.
All right, John.
This is mine.
yes, sir.
Yes.
Well, yes, it's 244 miles an hour, and I don't know if he's panned the camera or just set it up high speed and did a shoot while it went by. But it's very cool. I'd say it's probably a pan because everything is blurred, but it's very sharp. Kind of got some color noise in and around the car and the tires. I didn't know if that's what, but it might be it starts over on the left side and goes across looks like little orange squares. It's almost like film track or something, but I don't know what it is. But it might be a picket fences, could be. But it's a very cool image. I like the composition. You see the car as it's going really fast. It's going off to the right. It's got a lot of space in the front to go. Very well composed, very well shot. Who's the maker?
Charles Freeman, score of 20, went in and out, came in and third place.
Very nice, Charlie.
Yeah,
I like
the
it. No,
You know,
Orange
our
Blue.
first, I think our first assignment next year is transportation.
yeah, I know. I thought of yeah, the
Just a
orange
reminder
pieces
for
are
everybody.
cones. The orange pieces by the tires, like you were saying, they're cones. They're marking the 1 mile finish for land speed
okay.
event. So yeah, I did a lot of panning, practicing, and that was tough to get them at that speed.
Yeah, I bet.
Wow.
What was your shutter speed on this, Charles?
Which it was maybe I played from 120 to 250, but somewhere in that area using a 150 to 600 millimeter lens at 600.
At
Wow.
So it was
600.
really slow, in my opinion. But
That's badass.
Very cool.
Yes.
I wish
All
I was in
right.
the car though.
Well, it looks like he's carrying a sign, so it's, he's got a sign on top of the car, advertising.
Yeah, it's big. His name's Big. I can't remember the guy's driver, but it's Big Red Camaro. He's been doing land speed for a while now.
Yeah. Right on the car. BigRedCamaro.com.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
Cool.
All right.
Country wedding.
Okay, like I said, my turn again.
Yeah.
We'll go back in order. Again, I don't have much negative to say about it. I mean, the photographer caught the emotion of what was going on there. The woman's kind of looking off to the side and kind of wish that she was looking more toward the gun. But the composition of the three people is just placed perfectly in the image, and you could just see that these guys are having a lot of fun at this wedding. So again, it follows all the rules. It's tack sharp and it's exposed well. Just a really well done image again. Who's the maker?
Ken Ramsey, score of 19.
I like it. To me, it's got a story like,
It does.
you're gonna marry my daughter.
Well, it's just, to me, it's got a story as I brought the wrong gun.
It's a
It's not
shotgun
a
wedding, right?
shotgun, but it's a bolt
There you
action, so
go.
you can't run very far.
I heard that, Steve. Yeah, shotgun wedding. Cool.
Medina River at sunrise.
Oh, that's pretty.
Okay, Medina River at sunrise. I'm digging the colors. I think one of the things that hurt this image, the size. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen it a little bit bigger, you know? I don't know if that was possible or not, but again, I would probably get rid of that tree on the right-hand side. I think it had the potential to make a great impact with all that sunset or sunrise, and then with the reflections, and then with the water, But other than that, I mean, color-wise, it's handled well as far as like sharpness and what do you call it, the exposure itself. Maker, please.
Patrick Murray, score of 20, went in and out, was out, an honorable mention.
Very
Nice
good.
job.
Very good.
Yeah.
I think if the tree on the right was more in silhouette like everything else, it wouldn't bother me so
Distract
much.
as much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just too bright because you're showing silhouettes and you've got the color, and I mean the color is fantastic. But just that one tree, I don't know if cropping it out, but you would have to take a little bit off the top and the bottom to get it out of there. But
Yeah. you would.
Oh,
silhouette would have been really cool.
okay.
I don't know why it came out so small. I'll have to check my export settings.
Yeah, I don't mind the tree. I might have used a graduated filter on it
Yeah.
and darkened it so it was almost black at the border. And then you could see, some of the texture of the bark in the left. That's probably my only comment about the thing. I think it's a really well done image.
Yeah.
I
exposure.
know it's
Yeah, me
small,
too.
it's a bummer to take off points because it's small. We've gone through this before because it's a really striking image.
Mhm.
I don't think I took off points for it. It's small. I just
Well, I guess you're gonna know which ones are mine.
all right. Let's go. Monochrome.
Hey, moving right along.
Sands of Time.
Is it my turn again?
Yeah.
Yes.
This looks like, I don't know, a place I want to go. I think I'm going next year, but I don't know if it is or not, Antelope Canyon. But
That's what it looks like.
I first thought this was water, but it sands of time means it's sand, I guess, falling down. Remnants of the, what was it, the Arabian Nights in the sands of time or whatever it was. But I really like the shadows and the lines and the lights and the darks and the grays. And then you got this piece of wood laying in there, this rock in the sand. And I guess it is sand that's flowing down there. It just looks so much like water. It's really cool. But no, I think it's a great image. I really like the composition. It's very sharp. I'm going between two screens trying to figure it all out. No, I really like the image. Who's the maker?
Charles Freeman, score of 18.
Yeah,
Charlie's at Antelope Canyon.
Yeah, and if you do go, pay the extra money to do the photo version of it.
Yeah.
yeah. I want to take a photo tour of it.
Yeah, don't bother with the other tour. Like, trust me, don't bother.
I loved
Well,
it
I
when I
had
went.
heard that, I had heard that they weren't doing tours of that canyon anymore.
Because of
That
the
was-
pandemic.
That was about a year ago.
Yeah, it was closed down for a long time with COVID. The Indian nation in that area was, at the beginning of COVID, was severely impacted. And they had really tight restrictions. They had very tight curfews, and they shut down Antelope Canyon for a year and a half, almost 2 years, really, but a year and a half. And it's only recently reopened, but everything was shut down.
Yeah, we just booked our tours through there for next October, and they had just opened back up.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of the tour companies that used to offer tours here are not having tours anymore because they don't have the people. So we're actually booking everything through the Indian Nation. So it's this and Big Bend and and actually into what do you want to call it, Monument Valley. So it's very cool. I really like this image, and I can't wait to get there.
Yeah, to make the sand, well, there's a couple spots that you go at the right time where you get the light coming like that, but they'll actually take like a handful, a whole bunch of sand, kind of toss it up there, and it gives it a really cool effect.
Hmm.
So it's worth it. I
Cheat,
wish
cheat.
I had more. The what? Do we cheated?
Cheated. Cheater,
Totally
cheater.
natural. Totally
It's still,
natural.
yeah, it's all natural. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
If you ever seen the movie The Sands of Time, it's basically just like that. So
Mhm.
kind of cool.
It's a nice.
All right.
Old timer.
Well, this is a really striking image with, really great light on it. I love it. I mean, you can't get a face like that. I mean, it's just an amazing catch with that guy looking right at you and then coming out of the shadows. It really has a whole story. I wish that there were a few more highlights in his beard and on his face. It's a little too monochrome for me, right? I mean, I don't think it has to have blown out highlights and everything, but it's kind of all the same shade of gray. But the image is so amazing that it stands on its own. I might have cropped a little bit off the top and the bottom again, just to kind of focus in on the face. But other than that, it's a fabulous image. Who's the maker?
Ken Ramsey scored 18. He was using an effect called the Dragon effect that he was
Yeah.
trying to use.
Well, usually the dragon effect really accentuates the
Well-
highlights in the shadows.
The program that he wanted to use, he couldn't get to, it wouldn't work for him. So he was trying to do it through Paint Shop Pro another way. So
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
this
Yeah, I
is what
know
he
how to
came
do
out
it.
with.
I think to me it's a little muted and it's almost
Mhm.
flat because it has
Yeah.
no real depth to it, but
Mhm.
it's still I think it's a great picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the guy who was holding the shotgun?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. It's that hat that gave him away, the hat and that beard.
I didn't notice that. So is
He's
this
the
like,
father of the bride,
Yeah, yeah.
so this is what
and
we call
he's 90 years old.
That's great.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
great.
Perfect, perfect. Is that Rembrandt lighting? Is that the little triangle there?
He used two soft boxes like really close in on him, and one
Okay.
of them was the higher power, and the other one was low.
Okay, cool.
Right. Yeah, I only know how to do the dragon effect in Photoshop. I don't know how to do it in Paint Shop Pro, but
Yeah.
I do know that you have to follow the specific rule. There's nothing that I could even remember. I had to write it down just to be able to go. And if you kind of deviate from some of the settings, it just totally changed. I wasted a lot of time on this effect.
Yeah, and plus he did it kind of hurriedly too, because he's working nights. So
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
Homeless vet.
Homeless vet. I think I'm up.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I mean, there's no question as to what the story is, images like this, I really dig taking photos. I personally, I don't know what's behind him. Looks like a wall, but I would like it more environmental to see what setting he's in. Like you said, he's homeless. I'd like to see that come through the photo. Now, I think it's handled well. Like Peter said earlier, I think I would give that face a little bit more, maybe if you'd call it dodging and burning, just to bring out the detail and the life story in the man's face and his skin and his beard, But technically it's handled well. Who's the maker?
Steve Manchester, score of 19, honorable mention.
Yeah, it's
Very
much
nice.
more powerful like this.
Boy, look at that crop. That makes a
Yeah,
difference in the
A
world,
lot
doesn't it?
more.
Hmm,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love it a lot
Yeah.
more just by doing that.
Me too.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
me
because
too.
it brings out the wrinkles in his brow
Yeah.
That's right.
and his,
That's
and
right.
his crow's feet around his eyes, you know, and the glint in his eyes. I think
Mhm.
cropping it in closer to his head would have been a lot nicer. I like
I
this
agree.
program because I can zoom in.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's
Well,
a
I
cool
came,
picture.
I went down to the Riverwalk in May 2020, and there was like nobody down there. And this guy and a couple of his companions were were in this small area right beside the amphitheater. Like, so if you're looking from the stage at the amphitheater, he was on the far left.
Okay,
It
okay, yeah.
looked like there was a spot there where there should be trash cans. And he and two other guys were down there. So I stopped and talked with him for a little while, and this guy let me take a picture of him. And that wall, I mean, that was just, that's what was there.
Yeah, yeah.
So not too much I could do about that because there wasn't any other environment. So I suppose I could have
But yeah,
moved
it
in.
definitely was stronger cropped in.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Stalin.
Oh, this looks like the one we had all the problems with.
Yeah.
This was one of them.
This was one of them. Yes, I know. This is a very cool image, and it's called Stalin, that I would have never known it was Stalin, because it's the back of the statue. But the fog down the road, down the street, kind of gives it some good depth, and the lines of everything, it's all vertical, horizontal. It's perfectly aligned, well composed. You got all the old cars. You got a few people walking around. A little lady down there on the side kind of gives the statue some sort of scale. But I like it's going downhill. But I thought it was kind of strange because it's not, if it's over here on the side that says dental.
Yeah.
Just trying to think.
The dental center.
I don't know what other language that is over there. I know it's probably Russian or something, but it's just dental just popped out, and I'm going, that's kind of strange. But this is no, it's very well done. I like the black and whites. It's good. All kinds of good contrast, good blacks and grays and whites. Very well done. And I think I know who the maker is, but who is it?
Peter Florsek, score of 21, rescore of 21 numerous times, and then came in second place.
Very nice, Peter.
Nice.
Thank
Where
you.
is this, Peter?
This is Armenia, again, where my
Armenia.
wife worked. And it's one of those, again, it's one of those 12 megapixel cameras,
Yeah.
you know, that I shot with a
Ah.
Pentax years ago, that with the new software, with all the AI technology, it's amazing that I can get rid of all the noise and, you know, it just was able to rework this photo, whereas it never really worked before. So,
I love it.
Yeah,
And
it's a
that's
timeless.
Stalin, right?
yeah, I assume it's solid.
Oh,
Yeah, I love the detail in the building, especially the one on the left there.
Yeah, yeah.
So much detail.
It almost
mean-
looks, it almost makes the buildings look pixelated because of the different colored, I don't know if that's brick or tile or whatever it is on the side. But right under the word dental on the right-hand side, it just looks very
Yeah,
pixelated.
it's really neat.
But
And
it's
then you can see
kinda
Armenian
cool.
right above it.
Yeah. Mhm.
I like it because you see cars, but you can't make them out. So it's like it could have been done yesteryear, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, there's
Yeah.
no, you know, time reference here, except for dental.
When
I love
when
it.
were you in Armenia, Peter?
You know, it's at least 22 years ago. Kim worked there for 9 months with Doctors Without Borders, and I traveled around there for a little over a month while she was there in the middle of her tour, in the middle of her thing. So it's a really interesting country. When they broke off from the Soviet Union, they broke off from the Soviet Union bloc. These poor people were just screwed. they pined for the days of the Soviet Union because, they used to say, when the Soviet Union was here, my job was to put bumpers on cars, and I had to do 100 a month, not 99, not 101, but 100 bumpers a month. And for that, they put my kids through school. They gave me health care. They gave me housing. They gave me food allowance. And they gave me 6 weeks off to travel anywhere in the Soviet bloc. You couldn't go outside, right? And so now they're free. And, that same guy was making Santa Claus hats and selling them on the corner. And, they had a tough time with it. So it was interesting to see all that.
I love the stories of traveling,
Mhm. Mhm.
Especially when you go to countries like this, yeah.
Mhm.
Rip Dusty.
Well, I think it's my turn, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this is another winner. What a great capture, and it's just handled really well. It has some of the things that we were talking about in the other images didn't have. It has some great blacks and some, really, his face is really highlighted. That guitar is just really pops off the image, and I guess it's the drummer behind him, is kind of subdued and a little darker, so he's not competing with the image. Just a great image. Who's the maker?
John Kane, score of 21, rescore of 20, third place.
Very nice.
And it is not Rip Dusty. It's
Oh.
R.I.P. Dusty.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
sorry.
Rest
He
in
died
peace.
last couple months. This is ZZ Top.
Yeah, he
I was
died. He
wondering.
just died a
This
few
is
months ago.
ZZ Top.
My husband did not capitalize those.
That's
We'll
a really,
change that.
that's a really great image.
It
It's
is.
supposed to be art. It's supposed to be R period, I period, P period. However, you
Okay,
cannot put periods in titles
No.
Yeah.
in a computer. So maybe dashes. I don't know.
I will change that right now.
He's playing a 4-string bass. It's funny, I've seen 5-string and 6-string. I don't know if I've ever seen a 4-string bass.
Mhm.
You never seen a 4-string bass?
Well,
Almost everybody's got a 4-string bass.
Almost
Really?
everybody plays a
I
4-string
was
bass.
thinking my brother used to play bass in a rock band. He had a 5-string bass, and I've seen some pictures of people with a 6-string. That band that was playing downtown, Trish, that we were taking pictures of,
Yeah.
they got a 6-string bass.
It probably wasn't a bass. It probably wasn't a bass.
I don't know. I mean,
Most bass guitars only have 4 strings, and including even stand-up basses only have 4 strings. But they do make a 5-string one, but it's a more of a. He has a 5-string one, and believe it, I turn this black and white, and it's really strange, and everybody likes the guitar, but the guitar is purple, very bright purple, along with his suit. So.
well, you can usually tell basses by the thickness of the strings. I mean, they're thick.
Oh yeah, they're real thick. Yeah,
They're not like regular guitar strings.
but I have played bass, so it's kind of I
Hmm.
never played anything other than this stand-up bass and electric bass, so it's a cool instrument though.
I didn't know you played bass, John.
I play all kinds of stuff.
Do you really?
The dance.
The dance. Okay. Exposure. Great, man. Look at the white detail on the dress. I mean, they're not, the detail isn't blown out. You got the dark blacks, exposure. Whoever this was nailed it. As far as like the shallow depth of field, you have a little blur, not bad, but you get the facial expression of the young lady possibly dancing with a father, godfather, who knows, but somebody that's important to her. It's handled very well. Who's the maker?
Myself, score 17.
Nice
I
job,
love-
Kim.
Yeah, I love the fact that she's looking at you and you got that catch light in her eye.
Mhm.
Yes.
And it's so easy to blow out a white dress, the details,
Yeah, this is the one I was telling you about that he dressed up as Beetlejuice.
Oh,
Really.
okay.
And this is her grandfather.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Precious memory. Well, handled
yeah.
well.
Very cool.
Hmm.
Subway tracks.
Now, this one is, I really like this one. I like the lines and it kind of leads you down. I mean, the only thing missing here is a train coming down the tracks at you. But you have the tracks, you have the lines curving with the tracks. You have people standing on the platform. I'm assuming this is a New York subway somewhere. But
Right.
just kind of, it's just really very nice. It's good and sharp from the front to the back. So it's great depth. It looks like there might be something coming with a bright light down there, but I can't really tell. So, but the lines of the lights, the ductwork, the steel, the wall, the platform, everything matches and lines up perfectly. It's very well done. Who's the maker?
Trish Stone, score of 21, rescore of 21 numerous times, first place.
Oh, good.
You notice we had a lot of
Very
21s
nice,
there.
Trish. One of my favorites.
We did have a lot of 21s.
Mhm.
I like the tonal range there. It's really
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
You got the whites and the blacks and the grays
Oh, yeah.
and the patterns.
Yeah, I didn't mention the tonal range, yeah.
It's a very eye catching, you know, and of course your eyes want to go to that distant point there where it'd be nice, as you pointed out, John, that'd be nice if there's a train just
Yeah.
coming up that way.
I like how
That's
the
what-
lights make the curve going
Mhm.
down.
Yeah, for me,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the
Mhm.
curve
It
is what
does.
catches my eye.
That's the-
Yeah.
Because the platform actually goes down through there. And in some on DC, I know it's another one that has platforms that actually go up and down and angle as they go up and down under the river or under buildings or whatever. And they do that. And it's very cool. I like the way that they all just kind of come together and they point down to that bright light down there,
Yes.
whatever that is.
Yeah, you're just like drawn into it.
Yeah, it is a train coming, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, it
That is
is.
a train.
Ah,
Yeah, that is a train coming.
Well, I think the composition is just great, Trish.
Thanks.
I mean,
Very well
you
done.
could have-
Mhm.
there are lots of ways you could have done it. You could show more ceiling and less floor, or more floor and less ceiling, but I think this is just about right.
Mhm. Excellent.
Great job.
Picket fence and afternoon sun.
So this is one of these I assume it's one of these kind of arty things where someone was trying to, you know, make a piece of art out of something that was fairly common. And I mean, I think I see kind of what they're going for, but there are just some things in here that bother me. The little bit of foliage up in the upper right hand corner, there's not enough of it. I might have gotten rid of that. The blown out highlights in the middle, you know, just keep your eye drawn to it. The really strong element of the picket fence in the bottom with that great texture and everything, you know, just really starts the picture. And some reason it just doesn't quite do it for me. So anyway, that's my comments on it. Who's the maker?
Patrick Murray, score 17.
Yeah, I didn't see that it was that blown out on, of course, I'm working on a laptop and it's a very small
Mhm.
screen, so it's hard to
Mm.
see things in a lot of detail, but it didn't seem like it was that, it is a little blown out right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So
Uh-huh.
I should take that down a little bit.
And that's
But-
a little, what John's doing is a little stronger of a composition, I think. You know, if it
Mhm.
wasn't for being blown out, if there's a little more texture in there, you know,
Right.
you'd have
Mhm.
the interesting trees making the pattern. I mean, I see exactly what you were going for, you know.
I think
and-
I think the pattern on the sidewall, even though it's may not be too blown out, but it is blown out. But I mean, it's the pattern, the
Mhm.
shadow of the trees on the wall with the
Yeah.
pattern of
The
the
grain of the fence.
grain of the
Yeah.
fence and the lines. I think that's really good. It's just that tree that's over on the side. I don't know.
It's
I can
kind of
crop it.
distracting.
I don't know if I can crop it or not. Let's see.
Well, I could take out that one picket there and that would crop it.
Maybe
There
take
you
it
go.
down to
Well,
there.
Take out the
Yeah.
whole picket.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a stronger image already right there.
Uh-huh.
I love the
Take
pattern.
out the
of
tree and that
background.
other board. Yeah, take out the tree and that other board.
Mhm.
Okay,
Very cool.
okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, that's great input.
And it's kind of a square image. It
I
really
agree.
kind of makes it.
Yeah.
it's a square.
I mean, you can. I mean, if you want to, I mean, you can bring it down to
Mhm.
more rectangular.
Yeah,
I like the square.
I do too. But what do I know?
Cool.
okay, thanks.
What do any of us really know, right?
Hey, that's why we're in this business.
It's all just our opinion.
Nature. I think this is the least amount of nature pictures we've ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
Boom.
That's cool.
Robert?
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Be yours, bud.
All right. I can never get lightning photos. I've got a good idea who did this. It's awesome, and I think I'm wondering if it's more than one exposure, maybe not. But anyway, that's beside the point. I am eager to know how you did this. I love the square format. I love that you have foreground, but then you had this thunderous boom over there at the midpoint and up. And you see the as well, you see behind the clouds, you still see more lightning back there. I'm curious to see, what is that? Is that also lightning, like
Oh, I'm sure.
at the
In the
very,
background.
like, yeah, in the background where it's almost hitting land,
Yes.
but it's handled very well. Maker?
Charles Freeman scores 17.
Yeah, I love this image. I'm guessing, Charlie, that what you're doing here is just long-term exposures so that you're catching lightning when it happens. Is that what you're doing there?
Kind of. This particular one was actually, I was trying to position myself to get a tornado that was forming. And if you see the clouds on the right eventually started to form one, then it dissipated and then formed a couple miles further where I was at. So I was playing with the exposures ranging from really fast, kind of like 1/4. And then I started going up to 1, 2, 3 seconds because I was trying to make it where everything was crisp. When you do a much longer exposure, the clouds and everything start getting all that motion in it. So I was
Right.
trying to make one that was crisp, was a lot faster. And then, the cornfield's really too dark because it was going fast. I can't remember what the settings I had were though, but something of that sort.
See, I've tried to do a little bit of this with live composition, and what you're saying is right about that. You start to get that blur of anything in the sky because it's moving. Live
Yeah.
composition only captures any new light. So you're only
Okay.
running for an hour, and the only new stuff that's going to get past the initial moment is just new light. But which is really great. But I've never been able to position myself where I am able to really photograph a storm and still be safe from the storm.
Well,
Yeah.
That
I
for me
will
is the
say,
challenge.
do,
we-
do not
you
try
know-
this at home.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when you said that you were out running basically a hurricane, I mean, a tornado, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I just
I-
get too distracted and I won't be safe, but.
Yeah,
So-
it's
So
a
53
possibility.
seconds, how are you knowing when to push the shutter? Or are you just rapidly firing?
So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll have the one I set on a tripod and I set my camera to do the interval meter basically. So I'm just telling it as soon as the image ends, take another one, and it just keeps going so you can try to capture it. Because this one I was trying to fly a drone at the same time and take pictures. The drone didn't work
Basically,
too well. It did not like it.
What
I've
makes
heard
things
5
simple when
reasons
you
why
can
you're a
have them
madman,
complicated?
Charlie.
Repeat that, Trish?
I said, in this conversation, I've heard, I think, 5 reasons why you're a madman.
Well, yeah,
Lucky to still be alive.
in the Midwest, we used to call this sheet lightning. And you can
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
see it. You can actually see it kind of building with the smaller ones going off to the side. There's a couple of small ones going up towards the top on the right hand side. So, and it used to spread out just, I mean, it would just go across the screen and just go like this, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we would sit out in the cornfields on the farm and we would take pictures of them coming in. And that's when you would see them. And I'll tell you right now, if you're gonna do this, go out in the middle of the country, get yourself a fast long lens and set it up and start shooting. And then hope you get something good that you can crop it.
Yeah. Here, y'all can see me, right? If I'm talking, y'all can see me.
Yeah,
Yes.
All right. I can't tell. Can you see that image with how that's going?
yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
It's, yeah. So that's where the tornado was forming. And I
Oh.
didn't like it because, you know, since I didn't want to go on somebody's property. So it has this horrible, the power lines with the wide angle lens on it. But kind of like what you're talking about, it was doing a lot of that sheet lightning. So, and
So
those
is
are
this
all,
somewhere local,
Wow.
Charlie? Is this like out in Medina or something?
no, this is somewhere between, I think I was just I was outside of Waco, I believe, going south. I was coming home from Dallas and then I
Okay.
was watching the radar and I saw it and I tried. The exposure settings were ISO 200, f9 with a 2-second exposure at 15 millimeters. So,
Cool.
yeah, but
Yeah,
definitely make
one
sure
day,
your
one day.
car insurance is paid up. Just saying.
Now you're gonna get us all out there trying to take pictures of storms and get struck by lightning. So,
Don't do that.
all right, let's go.
Cypress Reflections.
That's yours, John.
Oh, this mine?
Yeah.
Oh, I love cypress trees and I love reflections. No, I think this is a really good image. I like it. I'll start off by one thing that I don't like about it, and that's the grass on the right-hand side. Other than that, I love the image. I love the textures of the trees. I love the shadows of the trees, the different colors of the trees, the bark, because you've got the ones that are dark, the dark cypress in here that have probably been, I don't know if it's after rain, they're usually pretty dark, but it's darker. Then you got the one on the right-hand side, the big one, the old one with the roots. And that's always good and sharp. You got the grain of the wood, you've got the colors of the cypress. I don't know where this might be, could be up at Garner State Park or
Yeah.
someplace back up in the back. But no, I love Garner State Park. So I love taking pictures of the cypress and the reflections in the water and the still water up there. You get fantastic reflections. And a lot of times what I would do is I would crop off the top of the blue sky and I would just show the reflection. So, and it just show the roots and the reflections. And that was kind of cool. But the grass is a little, I don't know if you can get it out of there or not. But it's just, that's the only thing that I noticed. My eye goes right to it. I mean, right as soon as I opened the picture, my eye went right to the grass. So it's just kind of distracting. But other than that, it's a great picture. I mean, if you actually cropped it and you brought it up to, let's see if I can get it to do that. Right there. I think that would have been you wouldn't have the reflections, but you won't have the grass.
Well, and you know what I'm wondering is I took a number of, this is mine. I took a number of
kinda figured.
shots here. And I'm wondering if I didn't submit the wrong one, because honestly, I think I have this without the grass.
Oh.
You know, you learn, right? You live and learn.
There you
No,
go.
you don't, and that's just it. When you go out, and I like going to Garner, and I take many pictures of the cypress. I'll start at one end and I work my way to the other, past the dam, going back up in the back and around the corner, and cross over to the other side in that area over in there. that is, you get all kinds of cool reflections back up in there and some good color. And you can I go in there and I'll take 200 or 300 pictures. It's hard to pick one
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
really like. So, but I mean, it's a great picture. I find the grass distracting.
No, I'm with you. I hear you. I think the grass is distracting too.
Well, it'd be very easy to darken the grass,
Yeah.
and so that it wasn't so saturated and it wasn't so
The
bright.
lines, yeah.
You could just use one of those targeted, filters in Lightroom. I also might darken that tree off to the right too. It's it's a little too bright for the image. I might again use like a graduated filter to make sure that it was darker off to the right and lighter off to the left. But it's a really striking image.
It's real. The trees up there are really strange. I mean, you get two different kinds of cypress, basically. You have the dark version cypress, then you have the white cypress. And most of the trees along the river are the white cypress. But the ones growing in the river are the dark cypress.
Right.
So, and I don't know the two different types of cypress, but it is two different types of cypress. It's a very cool place. I really like it.
Well, it scored 18.
Cool. Good image.
Yeah.
Will it on the beach?
Well, I kind of see what the photographer was going for here. You've got a lot of negative space around there with the shadow going off to the right. It was probably early morning or late evening. And for some reason, the little bird just doesn't pop as much as he should off from the background. He kind of blends into it. I know that there's that highlight place around his face and everything like that, but there just doesn't seem to be enough differentiation between him and the background to make it a really strong image. But it's captured well, and it's a good image. Who's the maker?
Steve Manchester, score 21, first place.
Yeah.
Very nice.
We see how I scored it.
Yeah, I think if you add a little bit more, go down to the texture and the clarity in Lightroom, kind of bring out the feathers, detail the feathers more. But other than that, it's a great image.
Yeah, what I liked about it is got his mouth open.
Well,
I got lots of pictures of birds with their mouths shut, but this guy's got his mouth open.
Yeah,
Like
he
he
looks
might
like
be
he's telling
saying-
something off.
Like he might be saying something. I almost put something like
Yeah.
a caption, like, hey, get off my beach, or something like that.
I like where I guess the water line where it would come in and just wet the sand. It creates a contrast there between, I almost see this as a minimalistic type of photo. So, and I don't know, I wonder if he had the whole shadow, what it would look like,
Yeah. Well, it's a really long, it's in the morning.
yeah.
When this was taken, obviously the sun's to the left and the shadow's going off to the right. It's a really long shadow. In order to include that whole shadow, I'd have an awful lot of negative space there.
Yeah, it's cool. I love it, man.
So, and I agree with Peter though, now that he says it, the tone of the bird is very similar to the tone of the sand and the beach. I didn't really think about that.
Well,
Wonder
we
what
got
this
first place. So
Anybody
what do I
wonder
know?
what this?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's really good. You got first place. Come on.
Yeah, really.
You
Don't
think it
listen
would
to
work
me.
in monochrome?
Oh, listen to me.
Very cool.
Yeah, sit here and complain and he got first place. Come on. No.
Mhm.
Eye of the Python.
I think
Robert.
this is me.
Yeah.
I love the details and the scales, and that eye. It's just like mesmerizing, man. I mean, I'd be like mesmerized just looking at the thing if it's coming at me like that. Wouldn't even move. Shit. Excuse my language. I like the crop, the square crop. I really do. Heavy detail, and I think, what do you call it? It's just close up and in your face, Maker?
John Kane, score of 20, rescore of 17, honorable mention.
Nice job, John.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, look at
nice.
that eye.
Yeah, I just,
Lovely eye.
I love this. I love this snake. And
It's
And
like
it was-
a,
it was at the zoo. And
Hey, man, who's scratching the record backwards? What's that, John?
John is the walrus. John is the walrus. Paul is dead. Paul is
I don't
dead.
know, somebody's causing problems.
What's the green around the image?
Well, it's actually the plant that's in the terrarium.
oh,
And they're. It's also a
Charlie,
little bit of top
Charlie,
and
you need to go
bottom.
on mute. There we go.
Oh, wow.
Thank you,
okay.
Charlie.
The green on the sides is the reeds that go up the side, and I thought it was kind of cool that it framed that eye,
mhm, yeah.
and the green casts into his eye.
Wow.
So,
Wicked.
and this was actually taken through glass. And I have a adapter that I put on my lens that you put against the glass, and it takes away all the glare.
Right, right.
I
yeah.
have to clean the fingerprints off first, but you put it around your lens and it takes off the glare, so you don't get the people. And that's what I did with this. So it came out very good. I really liked it. I'm going to print this one. So
Nice.
Young Cardinal.
this is mine.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is another. I don't know really what to say about this picture. I love cardinals, even young cardinals, old cardinals, red cardinals, yellow cardinals. They are just so neat. You got very sharp feathers through here, and it's kind of cool. I think it could have done without the limb on the other side, but I don't think he could have got away with it, and he still had the whole bird in the picture. But you got a good light in his eye, got a good bokeh in the background. He really stands out from the piece of wood that he's sitting on. But the detail of the feathers, I think, is really, really, really good. So who's the maker?
Peter Florsack, score of 20, rescore of 20, second place.
Nice job. Peter.
Nice job,
Wow.
Peter.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like the flow of, since you have those tree limbs, I mean, just the fact that they're going in the same direction as the bird's facing,
Mhm,
it
yeah.
really
Yeah, I'll probably
blends
okay.
in.
Is this one of your old photos, Peter, that you fixed up?
No, this is one I just took in the Pedernales Falls State Park. They have a bird blind, and I just sat there for hours and just shot pictures of birds. And
They have a really good blind there.
it's luxurious almost.
Yeah,
Nice. I'll have to get up
it's a
there.
good walk. It's a good walk to get there. But
It's a good walk.
Yeah.
Mhm.
very nice.
Walking is good.
Oh, you going to go? You got something else? Say quick. No.
No.
Do it.
Leaf stroll.
Well, here's a nice capture. I mean, that leaf just has a whole lot of motion to it, and just really, really makes the image. The butterfly sitting on there is framed perfectly on it, and the way the leaf is turned just adds a whole bunch of excitement. I might have cropped in a little closer, taken some off the right-hand side to maybe not put the butterfly right in the very middle of the image, and maybe a little bit off the top to put him kind of at the thirds. But other than that, it's a great image. Oh, there we go, and we're going to get it done. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that to me is
Yep.
just
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
really
It's better
nice.
image that way, I think. I think
Better-
this is the same butterfly and same leaf that was in last month's too, I think, isn't it?
is that-
No, it's
No.
different.
No, it's not.
No,
It's a
it doesn't
different
look like
leaf.
it.
Here we got a first. We got
Different
a
Different leaf,
place.
same butterfly.
I mean,
Same butterfly, differently.
there's a lot of butterflies that look like that. So
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, You
I
would have had
like
a
it.
first place
Yeah.
image, you would have cropped in like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree about that crop. It really makes
Yeah,
a
I
huge
agree.
difference. Huge difference. And I like almost everything is out of focus except for the butterfly. So it really
Except for the
pops.
butterfly, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
right.
it's sharp against the blurred background.
So I'm the maker. It scored 20, rescored 19, came in third place.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be using these photos in my office to decorate because my logo is a butterfly.
There we
Nice.
go.
Ah,
Oh,
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
let me
great.
ask you this. Are you going to crop it?
Well, it's actually, I've got several on a canvas already, so I'm not exactly sure how it is on there. It might have been cropped. I'm not sure.
I got you.
Cool.
I also made calendars with them with motivational sayings on them.
Wow.
Ah,
Nice.
great
Yeah,
shot.
I think
Yeah.
between
Great
Steve,
Really great.
between Steve and I think we got a lot of butterflies. So
There's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
butterflies.
I get a ton.
After the snow,
I think this is me.
Yes,
yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Oh, okay. Exposure wise, it's handled well. The snow isn't blown out. You got your sun that's giving you some sun rays. I like the like I said, the exposure is handled well. The only thing it's I guess the term is busy. I can't focus on one thing. My eyeballs are going all over the place. I'm like, oh, cool, snow, and I'm trying to look at the trees and the sun. I would assume the sun is the focal point, but I just think it's just a little too busy for my eyes. Like I said, it's not blown out at all. Great job, Maker.
Patrick Murray scores 17.
I think
Patrick,
this is
what were you
another
looking
crop
at?
issue. I think it's another crop issue.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I would think, I think it's another crop issue. You've got the sun right dead center. If we had
Yeah.
put the sun off a little bit more to the right or
Yeah.
to the left, one or the other.
Yeah.
What about a square? I mean, square crop. What do you guys think?
Well,
It's
when I
still
shot it,
centered.
when I shot it, the thing that really attracted me was the patterns in the snow and the way that the sun was backlighting the snow
Yeah.
coming through.
Okay.
So that's what I really liked about it.
Well, I that's what I would have said, Patrick. For me, I might have just brightened up that middle phase, that
Mhm.
that fabulous
Yeah, right
light
there, I
that you
agree.
have
Yeah, and the light right, yeah.
backlighting. You could have just brought out the detail a little bit more by just lightening that phase, and I think it would have gave you that feeling that that you saw in it. And I can see it in it right away. That it's kind of a magical scene. It's like,
Yeah.
wow.
And white is so easy to blow out, and it's not.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely.
And that kind of goes back to the black and white also. It was, when I took that picture, it wasn't the fence that really interested me. I didn't even really notice that until later. It was that shadow.
The trees, the cast.
So that was just kind of the same thing here. That texture was really,
Mhm.
Right.
really cool.
On the
Yeah,
right
snow
track, man.
snow pictures are hard to take, but this is kind of, I really like this.
Yeah.
The detail where the snow is. That's good.
Well, it looks like it's a fresh snow and it's kind of a winter wonderland, which is really a cool feeling. But I think it would be the crop, I think from the upper right down so that the sun is in the rule of thirds in the upper right corner there. I think that might be a nice composition. But there are so many branches. I kind of agree with Robert. It's just hard to find a place for your eye to rest. And the sun is the
that
only
is
place
true.
for your eye to rest.
Yeah.
But I still like the fact that the snow is not blown out, man. I love it. Like,
Yeah.
look at that.
Well, it's backlit and the snow is backlit. So it's
And
not
it's
so much
very,
like if it was
that's
front
very
lit.
pleasing to my eye.
Yeah, that looks better.
Oh,
For years and years, I carried around a star filter so that I could get this effect. And then, just a few years ago, somebody said to me, "Oh, you just put your f-stop up higher and you get this effect." Had I known this years and years ago, I could have used it more. So I guess we always keep learning, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I still use the star filter. So,
Oh.
because I've never been able to. Yeah, I know. I go up to F16 to try to get a star. I had a friend of mine was trying to teach me how to do it. But you have to have it just right so that you get some sort of edge causing that effect. And you've got the edge of the hill on the back. You got the edge of the tree, and you're getting the star because the sun is just creeping through right there. And that's always hard to get. You just happen upon it. That's also what the Topaz makes star effects too. So works wonders. Okay, move on. Travel.
Oh,
Chinese village life.
This must be mine.
John, yeah.
I think it's a very, very cool image of a family in the field and their farm. You get the cow, the buffalo in the back, the hill, which is kind of weird looking trees. I don't know what kind of trees those are, and I don't know sure where it's taken in, maybe Thailand or someplace. But no, it's a great image. I like the children walking around and the one just looking back at the camera. Everybody else is looking off either something else. The kid tending the cow. It looks like there's a pond or a creek running through. It's got a great foreground, really good background. There's nothing really wrong with it. I mean, the sky's kind of blown out, but there's nothing you can do on days when the sun's like that. But I did a great image. Who's the maker?
Myself, score of 17.
Where's this at?
Guangxi province in China. I
Ah,
can't tell you the village. Somewhere close to Liuzhou. Other
okay,
than
that tells me a lot too. So you could have said Thailand, and I would have gone, yeah, that's perfect, man.
7? Do I count 7 children in there?
you
There's
count
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah.
it's actually just the village children out
Uh-huh.
playing around, doing, whatever it is that they're doing.
Playing
Well,
with that
it
water
looks really
buffalo.
exotic. Those trees are exotic. The shape of the mountain
Yeah,
are exotic.
yes.
The children are exotic in there. You just, you're someplace neat.
Yeah,
Oh, look
and
at
the
that
light-
cow in the background with
Yeah.
I forget what they call them, the water buffalo or whatever.
Water buffalo, yeah.
Hey,
Well,
Denise.
and the light is just really cool. The light, it's kind of backlit and it's reflecting
Yeah.
off the top of the buffalo back there and off the hair of the children. And on the trees, it's really nice light.
Yeah, and it's like taken during the time of day when people say photographers should not take pictures during this time of day. And a lot of times you don't have a choice. But I think the light works great in this picture.
Yes.
Because you've highlighted all the kids and the top of the buffalo, the trees, the man on the side, the ground and the grass or whatever that is. It's great light. Cool. I think Denise just showed up.
Hey.
Hey, Denise.
No,
Hey, Denise.
Hi, Denise.
Oh,
I can't see her, but I just let her in.
here she is.
Robert, you take this one.
All right.
Oh, this is called Waiting for the Writer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot happening here. First thing I saw was like, hey man, why didn't he straighten out the rails? But no. The fact that you've got the scenery in the background, you've got a foreground, midground. I mean, the blue sky, hey, I wish there were clouds out there to make it pop, but it pops as it is. I love the texturing and the coloring on that rail. And then you get the true texturing on this old rugged saddle. And not only that, you get the shadows of that saddle on the ground behind it. Very strong image. It's just like, hey, wow, okay. It can't be anywhere. Look at the formations in the back. So exposure's handled well. The what do you call it? The composition. I love it. I love it. It's angled. I love it. Who's the maker?
Peter Florsack? No. Yes. score of 21, rescore of 21, first place.
Good night.
John Peter.
Another category with lots of 21s in it.
Yeah.
Very good. And this is a great
Yeah.
image here.
I give it a 21.
Hey,
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Peter, what's up with the shadows? Is that the first thing you saw, or what captured your attention? Just the saddle itself, or the shadows of the saddle?
That's a saddle.
The saddle and the mountain behind it. I mean, it was a fence, and it just, the two of them together just really made it. Why the saddle was sitting out on the fence? The fence was locked. You couldn't go through it, and so it just really stuck me. Again, I took 2 or 3 images of it, and this is the one that worked. The shadow was the saddle was originally all in shadow. It was really dark, but with the new Lightroom and the targeted exposure, I was able to bring out the saddle so that you could see that great tool work in
Wow.
it, right?
Yeah.
So
So is this morning or evening, Peter?
it's morning, early morning. Yeah, I
Nice.
think I was out with Jack.
Very nice.
Very
Very cool.
nice.
Very nice.
Love it. Let those colors all just pop off the page.
Okay,
Big Bend Tunnel View.
I will do this one. What a great capture, coming through the tunnel. You've got the detail of this old tunnel, and all the different textures and colors and stuff, and then that great light shining off on the mountains in the distance. Again, I think it's well composed, it's well handled, it's well exposed, it's sharp. I have nothing to add to it. I don't think I would do anything to the image. It's a fabulous image. Who's the maker?
John Kane, score of 21, rescore of 20, second place.
Yeah, I love this image.
Sorry about that, John.
Beautifully framed.
Very nice.
This is
Yeah, just really great.
actually the lady at the store, that little, I don't know if you want to call it a store or not. She's the one that told me about this picture. She says, go down to the tunnel, stand back in the inside, and then shoot out. And that's what I did. And there's only a little bit of Lightroom work on the inside of the tunnel to make some of the details stand out. But other than that, it's right out of the camera.
And the exposure is really nice, considering it looks like it's a very sunny day.
It was an extremely sunny day.
Yeah.
In fact, it was very hot. So
Well, I'm going to be there next month, and I'm taking this image.
yeah, go for it. I mean,
I will.
it's a great image. I actually
It's a great
went
image.
I've got another picture of just the mountains on the background that I went through the tunnel. I went with a group of photographers, and we lost one. We did in fact, the same person we lost in Yosemite. And she went off walking, and everybody thought she was inside the tunnel taking pictures, but when we went in the tunnel, she wasn't there. So I just took this picture and walked back out to see if I could find her. And there's this little road right here. She had actually turned right and gone down that road and a ways, and she was taking pictures of the mountain from that side, going back the other way. But no matter where you go in Big Bend, you can always find something cool to shoot.
Yep.
Can't wait to go
Nice
back.
job.
Yeah,
Nice
nice.
job.
Biltmore Estate.
This mine,
Robert, I think, right?
Robert.
Okay, I like this image. It's very centered. You have the clouds that break up just obviously if it's a blue sky, it's gonna look just plain gray. But the fact that these clouds break up the top of the roofing of this building, you've got a lot of detail on there. Only thing can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
No,
Yeah.
The foreground is pretty bright for my taste. Of course, it's the day, it's the sun. but I would hit up the guru with this. I don't know how you shadowed stuff or how you get the foreground a little bit darker just to separate the gravel from the white of the building, you know? But I like the image. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. Nicely done. Maker?
Steve Manchester, score of 20, rescore of 21, third place.
Wow, where is this?
This is
Biltmore?
it's in western North Carolina at Asheville. It's a huge estate. I mean, I don't know, it was like 500 or more acres when it was first built. The youngest son of Cornelius Vanderbilt from, I don't know, up in New York or something like that. The older son's got the business, and this young man just got a couple of $1 million. So he went down and bought up this land and has this chateau built, like it was like a European chateau.
Mhm.
And if you ever have a chance, you should go there and take the tour. It's just incredible. Like 33 guest rooms.
Wow.
Wow.
I love the scale with the
And,
people
and
out
they're
front.
not small guest rooms, they're huge.
I mean, even the staff have fantastic rooms in this place. I mean, they've got their own bathrooms and I mean, bedrooms, they got bedrooms with beds in it. Most staff doesn't sleep that way, but I don't know how you got this picture without any cars in the front.
There are some people there, as you can see. Okay,
The
so-
people are always there because they're in line for the tour.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
see that. Or they're
Yeah, so-
waiting on one of the buses, but every time I go here, there's always buses, cars, limos parked in the front, and you can't get a good solid
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah, there were some buses. And so I don't know how I got lucky either.
But what you
But,
need to do, and I will tell you
Man,
right
the thing is
now,
big. I'm still looking at the people.
oh, yeah, it's huge. Go there
The,
at Christmas time.
yeah, so I was there in about mid-December, so it was decorated for Christmas.
Yes.
And this is grass in the foreground, and it's just, it's just dead.
That's
kinda yellow.
it's a big field.
Yeah, it's huge. It must be at least 100 yards.
There's about a 20-foot diameter fountain that's just back of this where he's standing. And then there's another football field where the grass on the other side of that.
Yeah, yeah, on the
Before
other
it starts
side of the
going
building,
uphill.
it slopes down. It slopes down and behind, and there's some rolling hills of huge, big old oak trees. And in the distance, you can see that part of the Appalachian Mountains there. There's a tall mountain, it's Mount Pisgah, happens to be the name of it. Anyway, it's just an incredible place.
Yeah. Did they have the
You know,
Christmas tree
Steve,
up?
I couldn't figure out what I didn't like about this picture because it's so, it really just pops off the screen, but Robert hit it right on the money. The foreground is too bright.
Too bright.
Yeah.
If that foreground was darker,
Mhm.
all that pavement in the front, I think he would have got first place on this.
Do a little graduated filter on the bottom up.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, you're right.
hmm
So that's a sky replacement there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
figured so, but that's okay.
And I didn't have to straighten it. It was just straight.
hmm
Oh, but I just love that architectural detail in that thing.
Oh, I'll tell you,
It's a fabulous image.
it is.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Striking.
It has a
Mhm.
circular staircase. You can see parts of it on the outside right there. They're the angles that go up.
Yeah, just to
on
the
this-
left of.
To the left of the main
center.
entrance.
Yeah, so
And
it
huge staircase.
curves up 180 degrees and you walk straight across, curves up 180 degrees, walk straight across, and you work your way up. So there are, must be at least 3 stories up, and then there's a basement.
Yeah,
There's a basement where the kitchens are, and there was a swimming pool down there.
pool, yeah.
Bowling
Yeah, it's a
alley.
huge pool, bowling alley.
Yeah, yeah, it's just amazing.
Reminds me of San Simeon, the Hearst Castle.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
right?
the Hearst Castle is another one, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
San
no,
Simeon. It's beautiful.
It's kind of expensive to go there, and you need to, schedule yourself. So at a time, at a date and a time, because they only allow a certain number of people in per hour. And you can
You have
take.
to schedule on the hour. So,
Yeah, so I was with my son from Nashville. We drove over, I flew into Nashville, we drove over to North Carolina there. And so you go in and you can get this little self-guided tour. It looks like a little telephone thing. You put it up to your ear and push push a number and it tells you about each room as you go along. So each room has a little stand with a little card, and like the first one has a number 1. So you go there, you press number 1, you listen, and you hear about that room, and you move on through. And there's like 35 different places where you stop, and each one takes about 15 minutes. So it's a long tour. It took more than 3 hours to finish that tour.
And you don't see it all.
Oh, yeah.
You do not see it
you
all.
don't.
But I tell you, if you want the architectural details of the building, I have a lot of pictures of the gargoyles. To the left is the garden, which is fabulous
Yes.
in the springtime. And the statues, there's a back in the back with a tree on the far left. There's a outlook over into the forest where the first forest service was. And this guy was one of the head of the forestry service. And so you can actually see one of the first expanses of forestry service there. It's very cool. There's even more even behind you. They're up on the hill. There's a conservatory. There's more buildings up there. They have weddings there. There's a 150-foot tree that goes right dead center of that fountain in the front, Christmas tree.
Yeah, well, to get back to the picture, the
Oh, really?
photograph, the way that you handled it, Steve, whatever technique you used for sharpening it or whatever, it's just incredible. It is the perfect
His
thing
little-
to use for this building.
Looks like
you
little
know.
faces there.
Mhm.
I mean,
Thank you.
look how sharp it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and the picture itself is just fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a great job, Steve.
Thank you.
Steve,
So
do you know when
tonight-
this was built?
No, but it was apparently when it was built, they used the most up-to-date techniques and materials to build this place at the
It's
time.
gorgeous.
It is. It's just fantastic. And thanks for the compliments. I worked at it for a little while with black and white, and tried different things, and when it started to look like this, I thought I'm just going to stop right there.
Well, it caught my eye when Ken was putting all this stuff together. I was sitting next to him and he was putting it up and I was like, whoa, what's that? It's very
We
stunning.
rented a cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains about 15 miles from this place. So we were actually here twice. So that's cool.
Okay, somebody asked when it was built. It says 1889 through 1895.
Yeah,
That's all.
It took 6 years to build.
they kept adding on to it. All right, next.
Lady Liberty.
John.
Is it whose turn
John.
is it?
Is
Yeah.
it me?
Yeah, I did the last
This
one.
mine? Okay.
Okay.
No, I love this picture because it's a not normal picture, because very seldom when you see people take the backside of the Statue of Liberty. And the way it's framed by the trees, I think is just stunning. It sets it off, and you can see it in the sky in the background, the detail of the statue of the building. I really love this picture. Not much I can say about it because there's no way to improve it that I can think of. It's a great picture. Who's the maker?
Trish Stone, score of 19.
I kind of figured it was a Trish Stone picture.
Mhm.
Very well done, Trish. I really liked it.
Thank you.
I love the color. The color green makes it stand out from everything else.
Mhm.
Everything else is.
Yeah, the yellow of the leaves and the green of the statue, nice contrast.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to do when I'm photographing this. I could just see you walking around trying to find an opening in the tree to try to frame this thing, and you probably shot a number of different places, and this one really works.
Thanks. Yeah, that is exactly what I did, because there are 1,000 photos of the front end of Lady Liberty. And I have those too, but yeah, what I liked about this was just that it was not what you normally see of her.
Mhm.
And I just like the way it's framed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Those trees make a vignette around it.
yeah, I agree.
That's what makes it.
Very
So it
nice.
makes the picture, yeah. Well done, well done.
Thank you. Oh, Eric's gonna go. He says good night, everybody.
Oh, good night,
Oh.
Eric.
Night, Eric.
Bird's eye view.
So I'm assuming that this is a drone shot. I could be wrong. There's always an angle. I mean, you could be standing on a mountain, but it kind of looks like a drone shot to me. Excuse me, I'm having a little difficulty with the focus of it, not the focus of that it's sharp. It's sharp enough in the front, and the rocks really pop out. But I'm having a little problem with the focus of what we're actually
See,
seeing here, what we're looking at. It's a big expanse, and my eye is drawn to these rocks and to that V-shaped thing, but for me, it's not enough in the foreground. I'm not sure whether it would have been better closer to the rock, or I'm guessing, yeah, if the rocks had been more prominent in the foreground, maybe a little lower of an angle to catch them. Because technically the shot is well done. So that's all I've got to say. Who's the maker?
Charles Freeman, score 16.
I think the picture is more to the upper right. I would have tried to get a shot of that area.
With
Yeah,
all
the-
lakes?
could have been.
Well, I think these clips could have made a really nice photograph, but it'd have to be a lower angle, and without so much stuff at the top. Because it looks like it's some really cool cliffs. Maybe there's some people climbing on it or something. You could, do that. And because as Peter said, the trees are very sharp. There is some color there, like maybe it's in the early fall. And maybe it could have been cropped down a little bit, but I just think a lower angle would have presented the cliffs in a better light.
I'll post the original photo. I think, yeah, I'm just somewhere, I'm real tiny on that little mountain, but a whole bunch of people kind of started coming around, and I didn't feel like freaking them out with the drones.
Oh. Is that you in the red?
Yeah, you would have to zoom in, and I'd literally be a pixel. I was, like at least 100 feet up, 200 feet.
Yeah. Well, what is the area back in the background where the water is?
No, it's not water. It's just like farmland. And I guess it's just how the drone's camera is. It just really blued out and hazed out the very far back. And I don't know, I guess just low end camera, I guess. But it's just farmland up in Arkansas before the fall colors really started to pop. It was 2 weeks too early.
Still got some though.
Yeah. But they were better 2 weeks later.
Yeah. Shoot, I get excited just for one little leaf on a tree that turns orange around here.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'll send you, Tammy, I'll send you a picture of a Chinese tallow tree that I took. Just gorgeous, red and yellow.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, they showed it on Channel 5, Steve.
They did, yes.
Yeah, I saw it on Channel 5.
Showed my picture on television.
Cool.
Yep. Bill Taylor
Right.
does that now and then.
Next. I think this is the last-
Donados.
I think this is the last of the travel pictures. Robert, is this yours?
Yeah, yeah, definitely tells a story here. If you look at the items they're observing and then behind them, all around them, basically. I really dig, like I said, photos that tell a story, and this definitely tells a story. Perhaps it's a cemetery, judging from, I think those are tombstones like a cross, but we're looking at it sideways. The fact that it's nighttime and all these lights illuminate the people's faces, and it gives you a sense of time and place, and it's very well handled. And I just love people photography, with when you insert people into the photo. I love it. Who's the maker?
Patrick Murray, score of 20, rescore of 20, honorable mention.
Awesome. Awesome, Patrick. I really like this, man.
Me too.
Thank you, thank you.
Tell us
Really love
about it.
Well, in Mexico, they have Day of the Dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here, it's called finados. And people visit the cemetery and they visit their graves, and they'll take food and leave it there at the grave. But in this little town where we live, they have this tradition where they put candles on the graves of everybody in the cemetery. It takes like 5 hours to do that. And they light them all. And then they have a procession from the church to the cemetery at night. And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to photograph.
Yeah.
And people visit their loved ones' graves, and it's just stunningly beautiful.
And you can definitely tell the time period because of the masks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was taken a month ago, back on the 1st of November.
I
you-
love,
I'm
Patrick,
sorry?
I love the way the lights on the left, where all these candles are in these little cubbies. The way that glows on the face of these people there, it really draws your eye there. But then you still have that beautiful bokeh in the background, and you still have a sense of place. I just think it's really, really terrific.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, that's why I had like 3 different ones that I was thinking about submitting. And that's why I chose this one, because of the light from and how it reflects on the people there, and they're
Yeah.
staring down.
Yeah, it just brings your eye right there.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Really great.
Very nice.
Yeah, everything been said, I agree, but I'm mesmerized by these, I call them tombstones. I don't know what they would be called there. But are those metal crosses, like right at almost at the middle of the photo that we're looking at sideways?
Let me see. No, it's a cross made of cement, and it's decorated with porcelain tile.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's what that is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, the lines between the tiles kind of look
Okay.
like metal, but it's grout.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right, wow. I love everything about the image, man. Great shot.
I had a hell of a time focusing. I had it on automatic focus, and I had to turn off the automatic focus and just focus manually because it was so dark.
Yeah.
That the camera just wouldn't focus.
Yeah, I can imagine. Great. You did great, man.
Thanks.
Nothing I
done.
would change on this image.
Thanks.
Creative. This will be really quick.
Gilded painted boots.
I think this is me.
John, yeah.
When I first looked at this, I looked at it and I said, I wonder if this is a treatment or if this is actually something that somebody took a picture of. And then if you have to look at it, I'm got to thinking that, well, it looks to me like it's a chair that they put some sort of texture on and they add this image to it. But then the whole thing is that way. And I thought it was very cool. It's very cool treatment of whatever the texture that they used and how they did it, and to try to figure out, because I look at things like this and it's look almost like a painting, but it's not a painting. It has the lines in the wood that look like painted lines that somebody went through and painted them on there. Everything's not quite, I'm gonna say not quite sharp, but yet it is sharp. It just kind of looks like it's not sharp. And I think I had a hard time with this one, trying to figure out exactly what it was, but I know it's a flower bouquet and some boots on an old chair. And sitting, it looks like it's got some lights in the background. You've got some bokeh lights back here in the back. I don't know, it's a great image. I don't know how they did it, but it's fantastic. Who did this?
I did it. Score of 20, honorable mention.
Very good. How did, I
Yeah.
mean, is that,
Yeah, that's interesting.
It
Well,
is
share your
done with
secret.
a painting program.
Oh, okay.
So it's turning the photograph into a painting.
Like Corel Paint or something like that, or?
Yes.
There is some texture there that looks like canvas in there too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know. That's why I thought it was a painting of an actual painting.
Nope, it's a photograph turned into a painting.
You
Well,
did
you
a great job.
Yeah.
I was trying to learn the new software.
Software's always fun to play with. Cool. Well
But yeah,
done.
that's a bride's bouquet and her boots.
Robert, you take this one.
Oh, Little House on the Prairie.
Perfect. Mouthful of something. Sorry. Overlay. I think this is an overlay or a melding of two photos. I like the composition of the photo itself, and the overlay looks to me like, well, leaves. And it's just translucent enough to give you that cool effect. I can tell you I've never played with this stuff and I've never tried this stuff, but I'm digging the look. It's handled nicely. Who's the maker?
Peter
Florsack.
Florsack, score of 18.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Are these two shots or
Yeah,
Or more
it's
than one.
it's a couple shots combined, in
Yeah.
different layers in Photoshop.
okay?
And you've got a texture in there or something, right?
And there's a texture in there, and there's a border in there, and there's the leaves which I had to cut out so you can see the house in the middle. So
Now,
just-
when you do something like this, do you know what you have in mind, or are you just going going with the flow?
kind of going with the flow.
Going with the
mostly, you know?
flow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I think I said sometimes I'll find a photograph and then try to a creative thing and then try to copy it. In this case,
I
think
got
I
it.
was
I got it, Trish. Did you hear her?
Yeah, the flow is going with the flow.
it was the flow.
Oh, Flowzack.
Very
Okay.
cool. Excellent job.
Thank you,
Next
Robert.
training class, Robert will teach you how to do that.
There you go. Yeah.
I'd like to learn how to do that right there.
All right, next.
Next.
The
Wow.
Eagle Eye.
Isn't this something? Oh, yeah, it definitely is an evil eye. I have no idea how this was done. How many different things were combined, or whether the flowers were really there on the eyes. That cool one tooth that it has in there. It's a fabulous creative image. It just, what can you say about it? It really just pops off the screen. I'm not real crazy about the border of it. It seems it takes away a little bit from the how strong the image is, because the border is just so rectilinear and whatever, and it for me it just kind of spoils the look. I'd rather just have it be black or white, or or not there at all. But the image itself is just fabulous. Who's the maker?
Sorry, I was reading Jack's little note. John
Could-
Kane, score of 21, third place.
Yeah, nice job, John.
Yeah, nice
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it-
the
Great image.
skull, the skull actually came from my stepson. It belonged to his grandmother. That we're not sure where it came from, but she was involved in one of the restorations and some digging and archaeological stuff downtown. And they said, "Would you like to photograph this?" I said, "Sure," except it was in pieces. So I had to put the jaw back together, and it only had one tooth. The tooth is actually holding everything together.
Yeah.
And the flowers I just put there. The border, I did at the last minute, and I wish I hadn't done it, but
Yeah, and it looks like you probably would have won first place if it wasn't for the border.
no, I have it without the border, but I don't
Uh-huh.
have it. I changed the colors. Is going through the new color adjustment thing in Lightroom. So you can actually phase in different colors and change it to
Mhm.
different colors to make them different. And I was trying to figure out some way to blend it in, and I thought, well, maybe a border and blending the orange flower and the yellow flower on the border. But I didn't
But
know.
you
I
got
could-
such great texture in the head and in the
Yeah.
background. I mean, it's really rich. And then all of a sudden, boom, you've got that neon border around the outside. Sorry about that, John. But I
No,
I did help myself.
no, I agree. I just, like I said, I wish I had not put it on there.
It's a fabulous image, though. Really, really well
I
done.
agree.
I'm probably gonna print it, and I'm
Yeah,
probably
well
gonna
done.
print it on metallic, but
Oh, that'll be nice. That'll be
it'd
nice.
be cool.
Take off the
All right.
border.
Cool. Thanks. I like it.
Very nice.
Reflected Christmas lights.
This is mine,
Uh,
or is this
I
Robert?
just went, is it?
That's me.
must be Robert.
Robert,
All right, okay. Make these are reflected Christmas lights on the water. It is, it's beautiful. The rich colors, the wave of the water gives you these just way ziggly looks of the lights. I do appreciate them. Definitely thinking outside the box. Now, my question is, how did you, I mean, did you spot this, whoever the photographer was, did you spot this and decide to do it, or did you move the camera just to get a little more wiggle in there? But very creative. Who's the maker?
Steve Manchester, score 22, went in and out, came out second place.
Nice.
job.
Talk to us, Steve.
Well, Trish knows where this is. She and I were on a bridge.
Oh, yeah.
I'm standing right next to you.
Yeah, I have ones very
No, John, you
similar to
weren't.
this, Steve. Yeah.
But
So did you have like a long exposure with just some vibration? Or is it
Yes,
just
two-
the water
no, no,
naturally
no.
moving?
tripod, 2.5 seconds, the water just rippled away, and
Rippled away.
and of course, the Christmas lights are hanging down in strings, which is why they're all in kind of straight lines like that. Just 2.5 seconds of rippled water, and this is what you get.
Nice.
Nice.
And what's really cool is the fact that I have a picture that looks just like that.
You do.
Yeah.
The same spot, okay, and it's basically the lights reflecting in the water. And if you do a timed
Yeah.
exposure, you get that really cool effect. So
It's so neat.
Yeah, I was really pleased with the outcome. I've took about 4 or 5 of those, and I cropped this one down a little bit. And I brightened it a little bit too. It was a little bit dark, so
yeah, no, so did I. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice colors.
Very nice. Very nice, Steve.
thank you.
That's the only, I mean, if you look at the Christmas lights on the Riverwalk right now, I don't like them because they're LEDs. They're not very bright. They're not as bright as they used to be.
Hmm.
And they don't give you that warm glow. I mean, you had the incandescents years ago in 2010, 9 and 10. In 11, they went to LEDs and everything turned blue. The only time the lights look decent is when you look at them reflected in the water, just like this. And it gives you, I mean, all over the river, you get great images with reflections in the water. So,
Yeah, it's a very cold light that they give off. It's
Yes.
not like that
It is.
warm light that you used to get down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, LEDs have that cool.
and they're not very bright. I mean, it takes, for one incandescent, it takes like 3 or 4 LEDs to even come up with anywhere near the light of one bulb. So, I mean, I have the mysa.com was asking for people with pictures, which light groups did you have? And I sent them 3 pictures. The pictures of the original lights down, which were the incandescents, which over by Casa Rio gave you that yellowish light and really made the umbrella stand out. And you go to the one where they had them wrapped around the trees. Now that turned everything kind of bluish color and it made it look cold until the squirrels decided to eat them. So they just said they weren't going to do that anymore. So they decided to hang them. And now when you look at Casa Rio in the same spot, you don't see the umbrellas. And we were standing there talking, Charles and I were talking about, they need to light those umbrellas up so you can really see those colors.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they
that's good.
don't do that anymore. So,
They should put a light bulb right underneath each one of those umbrellas.
yeah, even if it's
So
an
that-
LED bulb, it doesn't matter, just to show the color of the umbrella.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That was my suggestion. I don't know whether they liked it. I never heard back. I never heard back. Anyway, very cool image.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Up.
Whoa.
It's
This looks
fun.
like Charles.
Yeah,
I
that's
think this
John,
is-
right?
This is mine, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has got to be a Charles picture.
I love it.
Gotta
He's
be.
the only person I know that actually works with paint, balloons, and spraying out of Coke cans and out of bottles and exploding things. This is fantastic. I mean, for a creative image, to create it with the orange paint, the red paint, or whatever color it is, and the green, it just it pops off the page with the black background, the way the light hits all the colors, the composition wise, it's square. It's really a neat picture, whether it's upside down or right side up. I don't know. I don't care. I think it's a great picture. Who's the maker?
Charles Freeman scored 22, in and out, came out as an in and won first place.
All right. Way
Way to go,
Charles.
Charles.
Way to go.
Talk to us, Charles.
Thing that y'all guessed on that one. So that it's, let's see, I got the specs up. It is 8 seconds, 6.3, 95 millimeter at ISO 800. But I'm doing this, obviously it's late at night and the flashes are only thing that lights it up. And I used a little 177 pellet pistol to make it go pop, because I couldn't figure out an easier way that night and I was getting tired and grumpy. My flashes were not working properly. So if I got, I don't know, see, can y'all see that one? That's what it looks like kind of beforehand.
Okay.
Oh.
yeah.
I'll
So how
post
did you get it to explode?
Yeah.
since
What makes the paint fly all over the place?
it's like a little BB gun basically. And so it makes it I used a device to kind of capture sound, and since it's going slow enough, it will actually be able to capture, and I can set it for milliseconds to see, okay, do you want it beforehand, after, or when you want it to go. And I'll take a couple of these images I have here and I'll post them to the group so you kind of see what it was looking like as the process is going.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. How many exposures?
Definitely, something, a heavier object will make it go pop better. Like the 177 just didn't have the to make it what I really wanted. So I got to get with a friend one day and go to his ranch and try again. I still got a whole bunch of paint left.
So you said this was a sound trigger that the sound triggers the camera?
Sound triggers the flash.
So,
The
yeah.
camera,
yeah, so that you get the light at the
Yeah.
right.
Ken was telling me about that the other day.
Wow.
it's all
Hmm.
flash.
I mean, I have a Pluto trigger that supposedly works on sound, and I don't know if I can use it. I guess I can use it on the flash as well as the camera, but it fires the camera basically as soon as it hears something. I've tried it with lightning. I've tried it with popping balloons. The kids like to see me. I put flour in my balloons, different colored flour, and they pop them and to see the clouds come off. But you're right, you need something that's strong enough to pop it, but it's very cool. I like it with the paint. I'm gonna have to
So-
try that.
Did it wind up painting your camera?
That night I was using a 70 to 200 lens testing it out.
There you go.
Had it at like night. I did get paint on my softbox, but yeah, who cares?
Is that a plastic container that you've got there?
No, this is just open on a piece of property. Just
No,
let-
but
let-
I mean, what you put the paint in did you use
Yeah.
plastic?
yeah, the little plastic champagne glasses.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Some glass is so much cooler. It looks better.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very nice, Charlie.
Yeah, well done.
Yes,
Very good.
very
I think this
creative.
is the last one. Yep, it is. This is it.
All right.
Nice job, everybody.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
images,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you
great
very much.
images. We had a lot of good images this time.
Yes,
It was hard to decide. That's why we had so damn many 21s.
Over and over and
Resettings.
over.
Over and over and over again. It seemed like we had one 22, which that last one I think was the highest scoring picture of the night. Everybody else is all 21s.
Sounds like 21 is the new 23.
Yeah. Well, except if you're, well, never mind. I won't talk about it.
All right. So, all right.
All right.
guys.
Next month is Prince. Digital
yes,
Pro Labs, and we start assignments.
assignments. And the first assignment is transportation.
That's right.
Transportation.
First
Yeah.
assignment is
All
transportation.
right, good to know.
All right. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Jack, how you doing out there?
You still with us?
Let's
Still
see,
with us?
I'm at 61 degrees right now in my camper. That's better than 20 something, whatever it is outside.
Whoa, that
Yeah.
sounds
Nice.
toasty cozy.
Yeah, we need, yeah, you're right. You need to upgrade that heater you said you were gonna do next time.
No, I can turn it up, but I like it just a little chill when I get into the sleeping
Yes,
bag and all that, you know?
Yeah, you sleep better.
Yeah.
Oh, go.
yeah.
So is that an electric heater you got going?
Yeah, it's an old Stanley electric, let me see if you can see it. There it is.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah,
It looks
that
like a
won't,
giant cheese grater.
that's not gonna work in Big Bend.
No, it's not gonna work in
You
Big
don't have
Bend.
electricity out there in Big Bend, so I got another little thing that I'm gonna try out with butane.
Right.
But this one, if it falls over, it
Shuts off.
automatically
Perhaps when
shuts
it
off.
size, huh?
Yeah,
It's got a nice little carrying handle. It doesn't weigh much. It's great.
yeah.
Nice.
That's nice. So when do you
Okay,
head home, Jack?
I think it's snowing like crazy out there, so I can't wait to get up and make my snowman in the morning, okay? I think I'll
I
go for
wanna see
breakfast first, so.
I want to see some photos.
Hey, if
Okay.
you're looking at my Facebook page, that's what I'm posting.
All right.
Yeah, well,
Well,
Nice
I look
uncommon
at your
images.
Facebook page, so I'll look forward to it.
Okay, good to see everybody.
You
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself, Jack.
Okay,
Safe
good night,
tomorrow.
Jack.
Hopefully I'll get
Yeah.
home by the weekend.
That'd be great.
Be safe.
Safe travels.
All right, good night.
perfect.
All
Good
right.
night, Jack.
Night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything else they want to bring up?
Okay, question.
Yes.
Yes.
Prince, on the 20th of January,
Yes.
Is that
Assignment.
the third Thursday?
Yes.
yeah. I'm looking at my calendar. I just
At
wanted to
Digital Pro Lab.
verify.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And the 6th of January, we'll just have our normal Zoom.
I guess Peter's running it, so I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I'm actually
Oh,
gonna
you're
be in
not?
Big Bend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I
I'm
guess,
gonna-
I guess I'll be running the Zoom meeting in January.
If you would do it one more time.
Do I have to? Okay.
No,
well,
thank you, John. I really
okay, so on
appreciate
the
that.
20th.
Oh, no
we're
problem.
doing-
I don't mind doing it, but
Okay, so on the 20th, we're doing prints at Photo Pro Lab.
Digital
Yeah.
Pro.
yes.
And
7:30.
hopefully everybody will participate, even if you print an 8x10. We can
Yeah.
encourage the judges to go up close and
Right,
look
oh,
at the
yeah.
prints.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and get a close
Right.
look at it.
But it'd be nice if we all chipped in. I'm gonna drop
Mhm.
off my prints. Maybe Trish will take mine in.
I'll be happy to take it on people.
That brings up something that Amanda talked to me about, and I talked to Steve about it briefly yesterday. Was it yesterday? I don't remember.
Um,
And that was Amanda says, you guys have, you need more judges. And I said, well, when you've only got 10, 11 members and you have to have 6 judges a month or every other month, 3 judges every other month, you run out of judges real quick. So
Yes. Yes.
she was recommending that maybe a couple of her people could be a judge if you want them to.
That'd be great.
Yep.
I don't know if they have to have what experience they have. We could talk to her to see what they got.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, I don't know. It's not up to me. It's just kind of.
Well, maybe we could keep
Somebody else
one
to
or-
judge, because I know that this is our third month in a row of judging, and I'm.
Yeah. Maybe we could take one or two of our members to be a judge and then take somebody from her team.
Yeah.
To
Well,
fill
we can
in.
talk to her next month and bring it up and see what she's not going to be there, as a matter of fact. Damn it.
Mhm.
And I was thinking we should separate the scoring from the commenting, both of which are judging functions. But I expressed to John, I thought maybe we should do the scoring and let those people do the comments, on the night of the, well, of course, I'm sorry, I guess I'm off track there, because on Prince, it all happens at the same time, didn't it?
Right.
They all happen at the same time, yeah.
All right, never mind.
Well, I like the idea of having somebody else come in. I think what's happened is, I know that since we've had print competition out at Digital Pro Labs, it's been the same judges every time. And part of that is because I know, at least in my case, I'm not available to judge on Wednesday night. So I have to judge in real time. So I end up being a print judge, which is fine, but that means I'm always a print judge.
Yes,
And
it
so
does.
the same judges are seeing prints.
Right.
And that may
Yeah.
be part of what she's concerned with. And
Well,
I
for
think
the
it's a
yeah.
valid concern.
Well, for the last couple of years, when I was running the digital ones, okay, before Ken and Tammy took over, I only judged prints. I didn't judge print digital for probably almost 5 years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
I
and
see all the
Simon-
pictures. I know who they are, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to the point now we all know each other's work.
Sure.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah.
So it's pretty nuts. I mean, if you go off to take a 3-week trip to New York, we know the pictures from New York are going to be yours.
Sure. Right.
So it's one of those things that we all travel, so we have pictures and it show pictures. I'm going back through and pulling out pictures from a long time ago. And I'm doing like Peter does. I take my old pictures with my old digital cameras and I put them into Lightroom and I put them into Photoshop, and I come up with my picture of Dusty was from, I don't know, I shot it with my little Sony pocket camera at the Majestic Theater about 5 years ago. And when he died a couple of months ago, I pulled him out. I actually have one of both of them, or all three of them, playing on stage. And it's easier because they're old. It's easier to turn them into black and white and take out some of the color. But
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are not using the latest version of Lightroom, you're really missing out.
Yeah.
The photography world is passing you by at a great. This new AI technology that's come out is just, I don't know how it does it. I don't know how it could select a subject and do it almost perfect. I don't know how it could select the sky and do it almost perfect, and yet give you all kinds of tweaks that you can do if it doesn't select the sky just perfectly, to be able to get it to select it, So my wife's telling me to be quiet. She wants to go to bed. So it's amazing what it can do, and how you can go back through your older photographs and just really bring out, for me, it brings out that vision of that you had, like we were looking at that snow scene, right? That I know what you were going for over there, and I know that magical light that you saw. Lightroom can just target that and just bring it out so that it just pops and looks like what you had in your mind's eye.
Because once you mask it in Lightroom, you can sit there and change and make adjustments to just that, like Peter did with his saddle. I bet you he masked that saddle out in Lightroom, and he changed it and made adjustments to the saddle to make it pop in the scene. And
normally you might have to draw all the way around that saddle, and it would be really cumbersome to try to select that saddle so that you could just affect it. But with Lightroom, you just say, select subject, and it almost does it magically. It's like, how does it know I want the saddle selected? So
Cool.
without even going into Photoshop. You almost don't have to go into Photoshop anymore unless you want to do some special effect. So,
Yeah.
I'm perfecting on one editing skills.
All right, Terry.
Right.
And I really liked On One
mhm.
when it first came out. And I liked it. Then they started making more changes to it and adding more stuff, and it got confusing because I wanted to do. I mean, On One is Lightroom and Photoshop combined in one program. It's a great program. I still use it as a plugin to do certain things because it has fantastic removal, taking things out. You don't have to do, and you can go through there. I can crop out people and do just select and pick them out and they're gone. So,
Yeah. And you can't beat the price.
no. All righty. Anything else?
Nope.
Pumpkin time for me, man.
I think that's it for me, guys. I had a booster and I'm not feeling real great.
Oh, forget about it.
So I guess I will see y'all in February.
All right.
Jen.
Yep, okay. You got something,
January
Denise?
6th.
You want to say something?
What?
Oh,
Happy holidays, everybody.
Hey,
Yep,
good night.
Merry
Yes,
Christmas.
happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Stay
Happy
safe,
New
be
Year.
careful.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Denise.
Yes, it's good to see you. Good
all
night,
right,
all.
let's see. Where am I at?
Good
I'm
night,
gonna
all.
stop recording.
Wait. One question. How do we know if we have the latest Lightroom? Is it called a certain something or what?
Well,
Well,
if you subscribe and you go into
Yeah,
your,
the new procedure
yeah,
subscription.
if you go into
Yeah,
your,
you get it.
what's it called? Adobe Creative
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thing, it tells you whether you need to upgrade or not.
Yeah, I get a little red dot up in the upper right corner up here that tells me there are some
Mhm.
new
Yeah.
things.
new version, yeah, it's
Yeah,
Yeah,
version
it's
it's time
been
you
about
need to update your
a
program.
month. Yeah, it's been about a
version
month
23
since
or
they-
something, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yikes, I probably don't. I probably need to upgrade it.
What's
Yeah.
the cost now?
it's $10 a
Okay.
month.
$10 a month.
$10 a month, right?
Yeah,
And all the upgrades are free and they
You're
just
right.
keep coming.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
it's a little pricey. I didn't think I would do it, $120 a year. It's really more money than, I'm not making any money at my photography at all. But I just can't drop it. It's just so incredible in the way it handles the photographs and the printing and and the package, and the fact that it upgrades all the time, without you having to do anything.
Very
Just-
convenient.
And I just like the pictures that comes out.
And it's my passion, it's the one thing that obviously I love right here. And so for me to spend $10 a month, I don't
Yeah.
like it. I'd rather do the On One. I tried to do the On One. I have it. I've given them my money a lot. I recommend On One to a lot of people.
If you
I
subscribe
just
to On
can't get
One,
it. Huh?
if you subscribe to On One, it costs exactly the same.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to.
It's
subscribe.
it's almost $11 a month on one.
Yeah.
But you get free upgrades, you get all the other stuff, it's-
Yeah, I just upgraded it and it came with a whole bunch of different things.
Mhm.
Yeah, they get you a lot of presets, brushes, the whole bunch.
Right.
Yeah, we just updated a bunch of, most of all of our editing software.
Hey, Ernie, it looks like you're at the beach.
Yeah, I just decided I'm getting
Wait.
cold.
He went from the space to the beach.
Mhm. All right.
Okay, I gotta go
Nice.
before my
All right.
wife